Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Cool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's the Hot Toys MMS378-D17 Diecast Iron Man Mark 6. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, if you follow the channel, you know that I'm not that big an Iron Man fan, and I do only have one Iron Man figure in the collection at the moment with the Diecast Mark 3. And I was really impressed with that figure when it first came out. It was probably one of my favourite figures in the collection for a couple of years, I think. Just the sort of design of it, the paint application and the overall build quality. But once I found out that the overall scale of it was a little off compared to some of the newer releases, I couldn't get past that visual, particularly when I got the War Machine Mark 1 diecast. The difference in scale was rather obvious and annoyed the crap out of me. So when they finally announced this diecast Mark 6, I couldn't resist, and the overall set, I have to say, is absolutely fantastic. A lot of collectors complain about why Hot Toys makes so many Iron Man figures, and they only do it because there's such a huge market out there and a huge demand for these figures, and if they continue to improve each of these marks over the years, then I think they'll be continuing to make these for many years to come, and deservedly so. I think the improvements that I've seen in the figures from the original releases, from the original plastic versions to now, is almost evolutionary. But I won't go through too much with the Mark III, but I will bring him out in a second just to a size comparison. But onto this figure. The box itself is, if you're familiar with previous diecast figures, you'll know what you're going to get. It's the standard sort of style with this lift-off section at the top, and then you get the foam insert underneath, where everything is packed pretty well. So everything's collector friendly, but that's pretty much with the box. So I'll get onto the accessories now. Hold on. Alright, the War Machine Mark 1 diecast actually came with a diorama base, and I would have preferred a base like that to complement it for the Mark 6 here, but they've went with this, I guess, a desuiting sort of mechanism from the movie. And I think it's not to scale, obviously, but I think, I can't remember, I think it was in Avengers or Iron Man 2. Potentially where he was walking down these steps as he was desuiting. You can press these at the sides, I think, to get the little hands out. If I can get them out. So you can get them on both sides, but obviously he can't fit in there, so most people have either sort of had it sort of bent back in that sort of perspective and him standing in the middle, and the feet are obviously too large for the steps here, so just be careful how you pose him up on there. But overall, it's not too bad a design. There is a light-up feature, but I haven't bothered putting in any of the batteries at all. I think the only thing that came with the batteries installed was the exclusive head sculpt, which I'll show you that in a second. But overall, not too bad a diorama piece to display. But I'm not actually sure if I'm going to use this at all, but I'll probably just box it away. Right, next accessory is the unmasked head sculpt. The sculpt itself and the likeness, I think, might have been reused from some of the previous figures, but the facial paint application is definitely a step up from the likes of the Mark III, for example. Just the realism in the skin texture, the eyes, and even the hair at the top here. I don't think the Mark III had the sort of hairline there. So overall, I think this looks fantastic. You can put the for example, the battle damaged mask over the top. Just be careful on where you put it over the nose, but I guess you can display it with that above there like so, but also have it down just to be careful you don't get any paint rub on the nose there. The exclusive, if you ordered the exclusive from Sideshow, comes with this additional head sculpt that you turn on and you get the blue lights. I honestly have no idea where this appears in the movie, if it does at all. Some have told me that it might be from him desuiting or from some scene. I think Adam said in Iron Man 3 where Pepper was using the suit or something like that. But overall, I'm not quite sure if where that came in the movie. Whether or not it is an exclusive worth getting. It's probably not in my book. I've heard people are paying extra for it if they want to get this early from Hong Kong. At least with Sideshow, it comes free while the exclusive version lasts. So if you can get it for the same price, get it. If not, it's not that big a loss. It also comes with a whole bunch of swap out parts similar to the War Machine. I haven't actually tried them all yet, and it is a little bit fiddly to get them all in there, I think. But some parts are magnetic, some parts aren't. So the battle damage and the paint application is really nice on that. And I just showed you the mask version there. I do like that. So the War Machine has something similar. It does come with a whole slew of hands. These articulated hands are bloody amazing. I love these things. So all the fingers are articulated at all those various joints, and this armor piece at the top here also swivels back and forth. So you can get lots of poses out of that. And if you do have the batteries in the arms, you will get that light piping through the palm there. So you get that on both sides. It does come with just 2 standard ones for fully sculpted palm shooting hands, which are nice. And then you get the 2 closed fists, whereas on the figure itself, it looks like they're 2 closed fists as well. So I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, these are fists with the attachments here. So you can then add these little laser beams from that scene in the end battle. I think they're keyed in which direction? Let me think. That won't fit in there. So I think you just insert it like that, and then you can replicate that scene where he's sort of spinning around and cutting all those robots down. So the last few figures, I think Hot Toys have started adding some of these additional features. In some cases, I think it looks a little bit toy-like, but for these ones, they don't look too bad. So you might want to display that, but obviously you'll need a bit of room in the cabinet to leave that pose. Also comes with a whole bunch of swap out weapon pieces. So you get, I think these are the shoulder missiles, and these ones are magnetic, as you can see there. These ones here, I'm not sure where they go on the forearm, perhaps. So you can pretty much change him all out for all of these weapons to have him fully decked out, ready for battle and shooting. So they do look pretty damn awesome. I think the Mark III had a whole bunch of swap out pieces as well. I might try them out with the War Machine and post up some photos on the Facebook page, but I probably won't go through and show them all in this particular review. But you can go through all the blogger photos and have a look at what they look like too. So just be careful, I think, when you swap them out. The connection points do look a little bit fragile, so just be careful as you go. Almost forgot to mention that he comes with a pack of quite a few batteries, as most of the Iron Man figures do. I never even bothered putting them in, to be honest. It took me ages to do the Mark III, and that was an exercise in frustration, so I don't even bother checking if the lights are all working anymore. I never leave the batteries in my figures, so just be careful as you go. I think there was a tip on Sideshow Freaks, I think, where someone taped 3 of the batteries together and just snip the edges so that they don't keep flipping out with the magnets and so on as you do insert them. So and if you do insert them, I'd just be careful on how long you leave them in there, just in case they start leaking. Alright, and here is the figure, and I have to say it definitely is a step up from the Mark III diecast in terms of engineering, posability. Pretty much everything they've done is a step up from that previous release. I'm sure all the recent Iron Man figures are pretty much using the sort of articulation and techniques that they've improved upon, and I really can't complain too much about what they have achieved here. The paint application is a beautiful glossy red. Some are saying that it's more probably movie accurate than the Mark III, which was I guess a bit more of a cherry red color, but in terms of articulation, you can't really ask for too much more. The head pops off on and off pretty easily, and can rotate pretty much in any sort of direction. Just be careful of the paint underneath, just in case you rub that. I love the fact that these shoulder pads can hinge outwards, just to give you that additional bit of articulation, and they do have warnings for you on how you position that back so you don't have all the paint rub. So just be careful how you do that, and then you just so you can lift it quite a bit up. That is a bit tight. Just be careful for the first time when you articulate these things. The shoulders, I love that the shoulders can pull out, and then they have this really nice sort of butterfly action as well. Mine was a bit tight to begin with, but after a few tips from some of the other 1/6 Republic admins, I was able to get that all working fairly nicely. The ab here, you can, I think it's similar to the way you can do it on the War Machine. You can pull it up, and it is pretty damn tight. I wouldn't try to do that too much because you might end up with some paint rub. But once you sort of pull that whole waist section up, it does give you a bit more articulation, and you can sort of move it a bit better on which direction you want to go. But I'll generally just push it down, and it does give him that extra bit of height as well. The legs, similar to the way the Robocop figure worked, you can push or pull these down. Mine were always tight, and I haven't been able to figure out how I can get that to work on the Mark 6 here, but I'll probably leave it like this just to have a less of a gap on his hips there. But you can get lots of articulation along the points. Just be careful of all of these hinges here that will lift out of the way, just like the back here, and you can get quite a good range of motion, and it is quite tight, so just go easy. The knees, there is I think there's a double joint on the knee. I'm not sure if that's double jointed or not. Looks fairly tight. That's pretty much as far as I can go. So about a 90-degree bend. And the feet, there is the toe hinge that you can move up and down. Just watch out for the armor. I think you can pull the feet down, but I haven't been able to do that too much. The ankle rocker motion on this foot is particularly tight. On this foot here, the ankle rocker was much better, but I think it was actually even better on the War Machine figure. But you can get quite a good range of motion. So just watch out for these armor pieces. You do need to pull it down, I think, just to get the armor pieces out of the way. But I might just grab the Mark III and give you a look at the size difference. Hold on. I did almost forget to show at least some of the lift out features. So there's lots to explore on this figure. So I think on the shoulders here you can lift them up to show some of the missiles there. You can replace various parts on the forearm, as I was saying before. These flaps on the back also lift out to show some of the detailing underneath. Thank God they don't have all the plastic and so on that the Mark III had. That was an absolute pain in the ass, removing all of that plastic on the Mark III figure. I remember spending ages on that. I think some of these things on the calves here, I'm not sure if I can get my fingernail in there, lift out as well. So I think you're not short of any options to pose this guy up on display. So I think a lot of people are going to have fun taking photos and posing this guy up on their shelf. Alright, so here is the Mark 6 and Mark III side by side, and the size difference is pretty much immediately obvious. The main difference, I think, is in the length of the legs, where they stop at the hips. So I think with the Mark 6 here and most of the recent Iron Man figures, the top of the hip sort of extends out to here, whereas it pretty much stops maybe half a centimeter or so less on the Mark III, and that sort of pretty much results in the rest of the figure. So I think being shorter, so I think the dimensions and the sort of overall proportions of the Mark 6 and the recent Iron Man figures is definitely an improvement over the Mark III. The Mark III probably has a bit more of a stocky legged look, and I'll just bring out the War Machine, and the difference will probably be even more obvious, because this figure is an absolute, I actually forgot how heavy it was. It's definitely quite a bit heavier than the new Mark 6 diecast. So if I just put him there, I just hated that it made the Mark III pretty much look like a school kid in comparison. It's probably just a tad taller than the Mark 6, but I'm okay with that. I think with the bulk and overall dimensions and firepower that he's carrying, I'm okay with it being just a little bit taller and bulkier. But I'll get the Mark III out the way and give you guys another look. Hold on. Alright, so just to close up, here are these two side by side, and I'm definitely happier, or much happier, with this overall scale than I am with the Mark III diecast. These two are meant to complement each other, and I think with their overall size and height being quite similar, I think you'll get some really movie accurate poses out of them together. So unfortunately I don't have a second diorama stand for the Mark VI. I might try and find one on eBay or something like that just to get them both posed up from that end movie scene. But together they do look pretty damn amazing. So if you're on the fence about getting these, I might definitely at least jump on the Mark VI. The War Machine Mark I, that came out, I mean, I got it fairly late as well, probably 2016 or early 2017, so it's probably well sold out by now, and probably asking for quite a large amount in the aftermarket. So, but if you can get it, I might definitely get them, because these two really are the current definitive versions of these two figures. So hopefully you like that look at the Hot Toys Mark VI diecast figure. Hopefully you can click that like and subscribe button and stay tuned for my upcoming reviews. I do have the Hoth Lear review coming up soon. I did get it the other day, but mine came with a broken arm. So I am getting a replacement sent out soon. So hopefully you can hang around for my thoughts on that. But that's pretty much it. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.